Good Monday morning. When Philly and I first started dating, he had been deeply wounded in his story by a lot of Christian jargon and Jesus told me kind of speak. And so when he encountered me and how much I talk about Jesus, he really had to make sure that it was authentic and real and genuine. And I remember one of the very first meal I ever cooked for him. We were in my home in Franklin, and I shared with him some things, and he shared with me this piece of his story. And I knew that the Lord would reveal it to him however he needed to see it. But I will say that over the course of time, it has caused me at moments to kind of pause before I tell him something that I feel like the Lord's showing me or revealing or speaking to my heart. And I'm always kind of concerned that he thinks I'm weird. And I remember a couple years ago, I was standing in the kitchen and he was on the other side of the bar and I was sharing something with him, and all of a sudden I get that look on my face and I'm like, babe, do you think I'm weird? And he paused for quite a while. So I knew he was kind of had to think I was weird if he was pausing that long. And he said, babe, I wouldn't say you're weird. I would say you're extreme. And all of a sudden, it was like my new favorite verse. I was like, babe, that is so okay, because I have a verse for that. 2 Corinthians 5, verse 13 and 14 says, if I acted crazy, I did it for God. If I acted overly serious, I did it for you. God's love has moved me to extremes. His love has the first and last word over everything I do. And when I heard this scripture the first time, it just captured me. And it's just like my scripture. Next to Proverbs 4:23 about guarding your heart, this is my scripture. And it so identifies my heart, and it's why I talk to you and have talked to you about the detailed love of God. God's love has moved me to extremes. When we encounter and realize and recognize the detailed love of God that is moving in our lives all the time, then our love for him just goes to a deeper and deeper level. And so he becomes what we talk about. And we begin to live our life differently because we're in this love relationship with him. And we desire to serve him and to be used by him and to do the things that he invites us to partner with him in. And 2 Peter 2, verses 9 and 10 say it like this. But you are the ones chosen by God. Some of you may know this as you're a chosen generation. Chosen for the high calling of priestly work. Chosen to be a holy people. God's instruments to do his work and speak out for him, to tell others of the night and day difference he made for you. From nothing to something, from rejected to accepted. The translation that many of us are familiar with is you're a holy priesthood, a royal nation, a peculiar people. And we are made that way, and that happens in our life so that we can be instruments of his work and speak out for him, to tell others of the night and day difference he's made in our lives. Like, if you knew where I was and what God has brought me from, if those of you who have only met me in the last 7 or 8 years and had met me before my divorce, and you saw the broken, shut down shell of a person that I was, to the person that has fought so hard for her freedom from her own sin of what she did with her heart, to be set free and to become the woman that God created me to be, you would be moved to extremes. And you would want people to know the life and the difference, the night and day difference that is in your life. When we go into the strip clubs in our city with our ministry, Love Nashville, When we walk in those dark, dark places, the darkest places that our city holds, and we encounter the brokenness of their lives, they need something different than their own story. They need something different than the husband who encouraged them to work there. They need something different than the money they're so desperate for because they think that's the answer to their questions. The men who sit in that place need something different than thinking this is what is going to make them finally feel like a man. To answer the question of their hearts, am I man enough? This world needs people that are peculiar. They need people who are willing to tell people, God has radically transformed my life, and you have got to know him. He wants to do the same for you. He wants to set you free of all of your stuff, all of your sin, all of your shame, all of your addictions, all of your places of bondage and stronghold. He died for all of that. That is nothing to him. There is no piece of your story that is too big or too great or too ugly or too shameful. And when you encounter that kind of love and you recognize it and it's revealed to you, you are moved to extremes. But this culture needs hearts and lives that are moved to be extreme and to be these really radical proclaimers of the good news of Jesus Christ. I am extreme because he has extremely transformed me. He has extremely reached into my darkest place and set me free. And when you know a God that does that, when you know a God whose love has the first word over your story and the last word over your story, then you just trust him with all of the craziness that goes on up in it. You just trust him. If I acted crazy, I did it for God. If I acted overly serious, I did it for you. God's love has moved me to extremes. Let's be peculiar. We live in a world that's desperate. Desperate for peculiar people.